Four Great Adventures continues part 2. Phaethon. This is one of Ovid's best stories, vividly told, details used not for mere decoration but to heighten the effect. And so the effect of the picture is there's clouds surrounding, and there's rays leading up to the, before that, kind of more spiky, and then kind of general little, like the sun rising behind it. And the top kind of reminds you like a sun. And so you have this and you have this, and that's supported by 10 pillars. And then there is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 pillars. So the second floor is supported by the 12 pillar bit. But there's the 6 pillars there with the entry, and there's like 2 entries on each side, so 3 pillars each before a bunch of stairs, and it's like you're rising out of the clouds. And so that's the decoration. But there's only one person and his dog, I guess. The Palace of the Sun was a radiant place. It shone with gold, and gleamed with ivory, and sparkled with jewels. Everything without and within flashed, glowed, and glittered. It was always high noon there. Shadowy twilight never dimmed the brightness. Darkness and night were unknown. Few among mortals could have endured that unchanging brilliancy of light, but few had ever found their way thither. Nevertheless, one day a youth, mortal on his mother's side, dared to approach. Often he had to pause and clear his dazzled eyes, but the errand which had brought him was so urgent that his purpose held fast and pressed on, up to the palace, through the burnished doors, and into the throne room, where, surrounded by a blinding, blazing splendor, the sun entity sat. There the lad was forced to halt. He could bear no more. Nothing escapes the eyes of the sun. He saw the boy instantly, and he looked at him very kindly. "What brought you here?" he asked. "I have come," the other answered boldly, "to find out if you are my father or not." There's a bunch of Native American stories that have this sort of theme too. "My mother said you were, but the boys at school laugh when I tell them I'm your son. They will not believe me. I told my mother, and she said I had better go on and ask you." Smiling, the sun took off his crown of burning light, so that the lad could look at him without distress. "Come here, Phaethon," he said. "You are my son. Clymene told you the truth. I expect you will not doubt my word too, but I will give you a proof. Ask anything you want of me, and you shall have it. I call the sticks to be witness to my promise." The river of the oath of the entities. No doubt Phaethon had often watched the sun riding through the heavens, and told himself, with a feeling half awe, half excitement, "It is my father up there." And then he would wonder what it would be like to be in that chariot, guiding the steeds along the dizzy course, giving light to the world. Now, at his father's words, this wild dream has become possible. Instantly, he cried, "I choose to take your place, father. That is the only thing I want, just for a day, a single day. Let me have your car to drive." The son realized his own folly. Why had he taken that fatal oath and bound himself to be given in to anything that happened to enter a boy's rash young head? "Dear lad," he said, "this is the only thing I would have refused you. I know I cannot refuse. I have sworn by the sticks. I must yield if ye persist. But I do not believe you will. Listen when I tell you what this is you want. You are Clymene's son, as well as mine. You are mortal, and no mortal could drive my chariot. Indeed, no entity except myself can do that. The ruler of the entities cannot. Consider the road. It rises from the sea so steeply that the horses can hardly climb it. Fresh though they are in the early morning, in the mid-heaven it is so high that even I do not like to look down. Worst of all is the descent, so precipitous that the sea entities, waiting to receive me, wonder how I could avoid falling headlong. To guide the horses, too, is a perpetual struggle. Their fiery spirits grow hotter as they climb, and they scarcely suffer my control. What would they do with you? Are you fancying that there are all sorts of wonders up there? Cities of the entities full of beautiful things? Nothing of the kind. You will have to pass beasts, fierce beasts of prey, and they are all that you will see. The bull, the lion, the scorpion, the great crab. Each will try to harm you. Be persuaded. Look around you. See all the goods the rich world holds. Choose from your heart's desire, and it shall be yours. If what you want is to be proved, my son, my fears for you are proof enough that I am your father. But none of this, all this wise talk meant nothing to the boy. A glorious prospect opened before him. He saw himself proudly standing in that wondrous car, his hands triumphantly guiding those steeds which Jove himself could not master. He did not give a thought to the dangers his father detailed. He felt not a quiver of fear, nor a doubt of his own powers. At last the son gave up trying to dissuade him. It was hopeless, as he saw. Besides, there was no time. The moment for starting was at hand. Already the gates of the east glowed purple, and dawn had opened her courts, full of rosy light. The stars were leaving the sky. Even the lingering morning star was dim. There was need for haste, but all was ready. The seasons, the gatekeepers of Olympus, stood waiting to fling the doors wide. The horses had been bridled and yoked to the car. Proudly and joyously, Phaethon mounted it, and they were off. He had made his choice. Whatever came of it, he could not change now. Not that he wanted to, in that first exhilarating rush through the air, so swift that the east wind was outstripped and left far behind. The horses' flying feet went through the low-banked clouds near the ocean as through a thin sea mist, and then up and up in the clear air, climbing the height of heaven. For a few ecstatic moments, Phaethon felt himself the lord of the sky. But suddenly there was a change.